Hello and welcome to the Franchise Tag Podcast Betting Show, Week 18. It's the last week of the regular season. And as a betting show, Adam, it's really difficult, Week 18, isn't it? It's a bit of a...
It's chaos. Week 18 is absolute chaos. I wasn't expecting I probably should have been expecting the Sam Darnold, Carson Wentz matchup that we've all been waiting for. And Jeff Driscoll, happy days. Happy days.
Yeah, lots of backups coming in, lots of unpredictable games of how long the starters are going to stay in. So it makes you spreads, it makes you touchdown scorers, it makes a lot of things difficult. But we're going to dissect it all. We're going to go through it, and I'm sure we can find some absolute gems in the betting. We've had no games so far. They're all over the weekend, so it should be really, really good. I think the treble should be good because we've got a decent amount of games in the late window as well, so we're not limited to just the 3 games like usual.
Yeah, so the only thing I would quickly say about that is, I've just had a quick look. Some of these games, there aren't any player props up for them, they all seem to be in the late window as well. I've noticed.
Couple in the early window as well.
Oh, is there? Oh, okay, yeah. Right. I just obviously didn't back any in that one. But yeah, there's a few that are a bit difficult. But yeah, it's week 18. You have to just not invest quite so much in the bets because it is a little bit all over the joint. But there are some decent ones, and there are a lot of teams that are still playing for something. And there are some teams that aren't playing for anything, but they weren't playing for anything last week, and they still put their starters out. So, they're the ones that you kind of want to look at, I think.
Yeah, I think you've kept me in the dark for your 5-fold this week so far. So it's going to be new for me, but I'm hoping and fingers crossed that you've put your money on those teams that are still pushing and still got something to play for. And you haven't given me what's going to happen in what we're looking at. The Rams 49ers game. I hope that's not on the list. I really hope. All right, let's get into it.
Well, you're about to find out, aren't you?
Where are you going first?
So my first game that I'm going to go for, I'm going for the Falcons against the Saints, a game that actually matters. That's what we're going to go for. Yes, it is a bit of a, oh God, where is it going to go? But it does actually matter. And you've got 2 teams here that have a chance of getting in. So you've got to think they've got to go for it. Both defenses pretty decent. They're both tied 11th against passing touchdowns. Falcons are 3rd against rushing. Saints are tied 6th against rushing. So both defenses are reasonably decent here. However, I don't know how you feel about it, but I personally just think the Saints offense has got more weapons on it. I think they're better than the Falcons offense has been this year. I know a lot of people like Bijan Robinson, but you've got a head coach that just can't use him properly. And, you're going up against the Saints defense, like I say, very good against the run. So it's going to be tough to be able to get lots of points going up against this Saints running defense. I like the Saints at -3. They're at home. It's within the field goal. I just feel that when push comes to shove, I'm looking at 2 defenses that I think are pretty similar, and an offense on the Saints, which I just think is that little bit better. And if I was given a choice of who I wanted as my quarterback between Derek Carr or Desmond Ridder, I think Derek Carr is the guy who will get you over the line in a matchup like this, whereas for Desmond Ridder, maybe not.
Yeah, I'm really struggling with this game. I mean, it's Dennis Allen versus Arthur Smith, 2 coaches that should be playing for to keep their jobs. I think there should be a little side wager on this, on whoever loses their job. Because I think the Saints are going to bring Allen back, and I'm not sure about the Falcons. Maybe Arthur Smith might be the first one to go on Monday. I don't know. Could be interesting. The only thing I've got with this one is Saints aren't usually good at covering the spread when they are favorites, and neither is Derek Carr good as a favorite either. I think he wasn't even good when he was at the Raiders as a favorite. So that's the only thing that put me off in terms of betting on them. I don't like the game at all. There's no way you could get me to put my money on either of the quarterbacks or the head coaches in this game. And is Kamara playing? He's been out all week. He's not been practicing, has he?
I'm not sure. It's going to be a game time decision, isn't it? He has been missing, but he is. If you look at him, he is favoured. He's 20 to 21 to score any time. That's probably just bookies hedging their bets, though. So to me, it feels like he's a game time. They need to win, so they've got to put their best players out there. If there's any chance he can play, I think he's probably going to be out there. So yeah, it would be surprising. But I just, even with Jamal Williams out there, I don't feel like the run game is going to be what gets either of these teams over the line in this game. It's going to be the passing game, and so because of that, I know Derek Carr has not been good for the Saints this year. I just think he's going to have more about him than what Desmond Ridder will.
Yeah, I agree. In that terms of things, I think heart says go with the Saints, head says Falcons, so that's why I'm leaving that one alone. Adam, where are we going next?
So my next one, I'm going to go for the Bucks against the Panthers. Now, this is a Buccaneers team who, still in the NFC South. They're currently in, aren't they? I believe at the moment. But obviously, you have to think one of the two teams out of the Falcons and the Saints are going to win as they're going up against each other. So you'd hope one of them might get a win, unless they tie, of course. But they might win. I feel like the Bucks need to get this job done, and just they're going up against the weakest team in the NFL at the moment. Minus 4.5. It is over the field goal one, but I just feel like the Panthers, you can run on this team so easily. You really can. They're currently 32nd, dead last when it comes to giving up rushing touchdowns. Rashad White has looked really good in the last few weeks. Baker Mayfield, again, has also looked pretty good. I know he struggled a bit last. Before that, he looked pretty good. They've got the weapons on the offense. And also, I think the defense it's okay. I mean, you can pass on the Bucks, but I think that they're steady enough and got enough veterans on that defense in order to be able to get them over the line in a game like this. Minus 4.5. You can't claim it as high considering who you're up against. You feel like they should be able to cover it pretty easily. But that's the one I like, and the way I'm going with that one.
Yeah, that's probably one of my favourite ones of the week. The Buccaneers over the Panthers. The Buccaneers were the only team to let me down last week in my fivefold. So hopefully they can make it back up this week and be a solid one. I think the Panthers have really, really struggled, bar the game against the Packers, to put points on the scoreboard. They've really, really struggled. Some games they've not even gotten in the end zone. They've just had field goals. So I just wonder where the points are going to come from, because they're been hit again with some more injuries. They struggle to keep Bryce Young upright. He's been sacked a hell of a lot this season. So yeah, the Buccaneers. I said it when the O-line's good and you've got those weapons, then Baker Mayfield, you get the best out of him. So I think be quite a comfortable win for them. Just hope they don't get that far in the lead, take all the starters out, and then Panthers make a bit of a comeback. But yeah, I think that's a safe one.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose that is always a worry. That can happen in a lot of these games this week. It's always possible that can happen. But yeah, it does feel like a bit of a safe one. I must admit, when I looked at it and I saw minus 4.5, I did sort of think to myself, that feels like it should be higher. Like I know the Bucks have put in a few stinkers on the offense this year, but even still, this game, I know maybe they're thinking it's a divisional game, so the Panthers will be a little bit better. But even still, I feel like they should be capable of covering this one.
Yeah, I reckon you could probably go into that and stretch it to minus 6.5. I reckon. I think that probably could still get a bit better odds on that. Adam, where are you going with our next one?
So my third one, the one place I said you do not go if you're a Green Bay fan. Green Bay minus 3 against the Bears. So we're going for the Packers against the Bears. This is win and in. This is it now. Now, don't get me wrong. No one has suffered more than me when it comes to this Green Bay defense and Joe Barry being an awful defensive coordinator. But I do feel that this is they have to go for it, and I think that our offense is just going so well at the moment that it's just got to keep going. All the Bears have got to play for here is to stop the Packers. That is literally all they've got to play for, and I know that's a big incentive for them, but that is it. So I do feel like I just because we've got more weapons on the offense, they're going up against a tough defense, but they can get past them. They are 29th when it comes to giving up passing touchdowns. They have become very, very good at stopping the run, the Bears defense, but they are still struggling when it comes to giving up the passing touchdowns. That, I believe, suits the way that Jordan Love plays and the way that the Packers play. I think, although they want to run the ball, they just seem to end up in these situations where they are passing a lot. It's only 3 points, so you're within the field goal as well. So, yeah, for me, Packers -3. And hopefully they get in the playoff.
Yeah, I think you should have stuck to your own motto and not backed your Green Bay Packers. You said when you back them, they lose, and I think you're going to get a loss again. You say that the only thing the Bears have got to play for is beating the Packers. I'd say that Justin Fields is playing for his job, and Eberflus is both playing for his job. I think they're both either auditioning for new jobs elsewhere or playing to keep them in their current place. So I think you're going to get really good efficiency out of both of them this week, especially against the Packers.
I don't think that's so much of a thing, to be honest. I think I don't quite know. I know, wasn't there a lot of chanting, wasn't there, in the crowd that they want to keep and stuff like that? I just don't see it. I don't see how you give up the first round pick again. And even if you were to take it, the idea of, I mean, can you honestly be the general manager who passes up on Caleb Williams or Drake May? If one of them hits, you are done. That is the end of your career.
As I said, Justin Fields will still be playing for auditioning for other teams. You know, he's still.
I think he's already done it.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to do anything in it. He's already proven that he's capable. He doesn't need to audition anymore. I think he's shown that he's more than capable of being a starter. I just don't think it's worked in Chicago for him. So, yeah, maybe Eberflus, I can understand where you're coming from, but I don't know. I think a lot of people come out with that, as in like they're auditioning for a job. It's like there's loads of tape on these guys. We know how good how good Fields is. So it's like we don't, you know.
Should we go a bit deeper into it then, Adam? Since Montez Sweat's been there, the defense has been a lot better. They're only going to have to send him as a pass rush. They only have to send 4 in the pass rush. I think Jordan Love, we saw last week when he played against the Vikings, that when they heavy blitzes, he played his best game. Jalen Johnson, arguably one of the best cornerbacks this year. So definitely down the back stretch. So I think this Bears defense has now become a tough defense to play against.
Yeah, absolutely. They've looked. I think they've looked great, and certainly in the last 5-6 weeks, I think they've looked very, very good. As I say, they're incredibly good against the run. That's going to be the pass rush, isn't it? That's slowing down any sort of run. They're getting past the O-line very quickly. I think Love's going to be passing it out. It's going to be lots of passing, and I just feel like that's not going to be so much of an issue for him because of that.
On the flip side, you couldn't beat the Giants, and there's been a lot of teams you can't beat because you can't stop the run. Can you stop a team that I think might run the ball quite a bit? The Bears with Fields, Johnson, whoever else is back there, Herbert's playing. I think you're not great at that, and that's what they specialize in.
Yeah, no, completely agree. No, won't be able to stop the run. Just going to have to outshoot them. That is what this game is. This is a shootout that will just end up like 34-31 and or hopefully 35-31 in this particular case. But
definitely taking the over then.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think that's what you're looking at with this game.
Yeah, I might take the +3 on the best. Adam, lots of debate on that one. I hope it comes through for you because your Packers get in then, and that's always good. A happy Adam is a good Adam. Where next?
Right, no, the fourth leg of this one. We're going for the Broncos at the Raiders. Now, this is a bit of this is a game where there's not really anything to play for. So it's not really anything particularly exciting. This is more of a gut feel. And the fact that it's -2.5 for the Raiders. I feel like I want to come down on the Raiders side in this particular one, which is very unusual for me. I just feel like Pierce has got him playing for whatever, he just seems to have got him in a mindset, and I don't think that's going to change until the end of this game. They are going to want to put on a show for their home fans. The Broncos, a team where they've dropped Russell Wilson. I think it's going to be a low scoring game, I feel, but I feel like because it's within the field goal, I quite like the Raiders for it, and there isn't really anything else for it. I don't really have any amazing stats for it. I think the Raiders have got a better defense over the season. I feel they've been better, and especially in the last few weeks, I think they've been better. I don't particularly like any touchdown scorers at the prices at all. There's no one in particular. It's literally, I just feel like the Raiders are going to want to finish the season the way that they have been playing, and the Broncos, I just feel, are in a bit of a let's just chuck it in.
Yeah, I'm really unsure with this one. I think either of them could win. Whichever one sort of plays a little bit better will win it, won't they? The only thing I will say with the Broncos is Sean Payton has had success managing quarterbacks coming in. He's had, Teddy Bridgewater and Taysom Hill and come in when he was at the Saints and get success with them. So we know that once his first team quarterback, if you like, is out, his next one comes up, he gets good production from them. So, this Broncos team was playing well at that time and might still play well, even though there's been a swap at the quarterback position. So that's the reason I would like the Broncos, but equally the Raiders have been playing well at the minute and beating teams that I thought they shouldn't have. So I really couldn't call it. It's going to be a good game. It's going to be an interesting game.
It is a really tough one. I mean, a lot of these are really tough. Like I say, just don't know who's playing or like how well they are. It's just, I just feel that the Raiders are just for whatever. Like I say, it just seems to have worked under Pierce. They just seem to have got going, and the defense especially seems to have really turned up for them. Being able to beat the Chiefs, is something that we never would have thought would have happened. So it's difficult to sort of move away from them when it's only -2.5 as well.
The week 18. I'm not sure what you want to give it a little name or anything. It's really hit you with this week, Adam, because you said you'd never bet on the Packers and you bet on the Packers. And for years now, you've told me you'd never put your money anywhere near the Raiders because they're so unpredictable and always let you down. So, and you've got money on them as well.
I know. Well, this is the problem when it's all a mess, isn't it? Bloody week 18.
How are you finishing this fivefold off? Who have you got to add in?
Final one, last game of the weekend. Bills at the Dolphins. We're going to go for the Bills -3. I just the team at the moment. I've been kind of on the Dolphins side for most of this season, but the one thing I've always said about the Dolphins is that their defense is not as good as what people think they are. And they have struggled. If you look at it, they're in the tied 22nd against rushing touchdowns, tied 24th against passing touchdowns. They do give up points, and you can score on this team. I think this game could go a similar way that the Bills-Eagles game went. where I just think that the Bills will just run it down their throat a lot, and they will use the passing game because they will be able to score as well. But I just think that they're in a better mindset at the moment. They're on a better run. It looks like Jalen Waddle is going to potentially be out again. Raheem Mostert might be missing as well. It feels like this is going to be a big problem for the Dolphins. And although they have got, obviously Tyreek is great, Devon A-Chain looks great. I just feel like you need everyone out there in order for it to work for the Dolphins. And if they're going to start missing people, that's going to be a problem. Yeah, Bills at -3, I think is definitely a decent bet at that. Only the 3 points.
When I was making my fivefold, I put in the Buccaneers, and my second one I put the Bills in. They were the two that I thought I'm really happy with those two. Lock them in straight away. You talk about injuries to a couple of the offensive players on the Dolphins side. I think the real big key thing here, and massive for this game, is the fact that Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips are both going to be out. So who's putting pressure on Josh Allen? Because if you can't get pressure on him, he's just going to run the show. He's just going to absolutely take advantage of that. The Dolphins' defense all year has been, people have said it's not got that bully factor about it, and you've lost your two people that could do that. So I think the Bills is a lock for this one. I think as you say, the offense is going to be good. Their defense is capable. I think they're playing some of the best football out of everybody at this moment in time. I think the Dolphins are on the decline a little bit. And I think, it's only -2.5. So I think they can cover that quite comfortably. And Adam, if Josh Allen does go off on one in this game and beats them and they get the second seed, do you think he could be in with a shout for the MVP? Do you think Lamar's got it locked up, or do you think this game could be enough for people to sway their bets?
See, this has been mentioned a few times, isn't it, this week, where I think people are looking at it, and I don't know if they're just trying to get people away from Lamar to a certain extent when it comes to who they think is gonna win it. I suppose when you look at Lamar's stats, they're not as impressive as what Josh Allen's have been this year. So because of that, I think there is a feeling that Josh Allen should be in the conversation a lot more. I think that probably the one stat that Josh Allen isn't going to get, because Lamar has got it, is that it's the #1 seed. And I just feel that that's probably going to be enough in order to get him over the line. It feels a little bit like that's how it's gone the last few years. It's almost like it is the back of the #1 seed, and it's like Aaron Rodgers when he had it the 2 years at the Packers. It felt very much like he got it because he was the #1 seed and as the team, but like also he was the team kind of thing, and that's sort of like, it just feels like that's how they go with it a little bit now. I think it's going to be difficult to get away from Lamar this year.
Yeah, definitely. Were you not tempted by Giants +5.5 against the Eagles, just as it's my team against my rivals?
I was tempted to go -5.5 for the Eagles.
No.
I wasn't. No, I wasn't really. I think that the Eagles, the way the Eagles have been on the defense, it's very difficult to back them at the moment, and the way the Giants have been on the offense is very difficult to back them as well. I know Tyrod Taylor's back, and so it feels like there's a bit more confidence there. But I found that very, very difficult. I found back in the 49ers against the Rams very difficult. I was just a little bit like, they're both resting their starters, and I didn't really know which way it would go. I mean, who's got the better? The problem with this is with the teams that are resting players, it's almost like who's got the better second string, and so it becomes very awkward to. Well, I was I was tempted by the Seahawks for a little bit, because I know that if they need to win to get in, but then they're playing against the Cardinals, who went and beat the Eagles last week. So again, it's a difficult one. There's some very, very difficult matchups. One that again that was tempting actually, and looking at it now, maybe should have gone in, is the Cowboys against the Commanders.
It's a
It's
big
minus
number, but
13.
possible.
We've seen what the Cowboys have done against the poorer teams. My concern with that is that if the Cowboys find themselves 20 points up very quickly, as
Yep.
you've said before, do they just rest everyone and take everyone out because they know that they can? So it's a very, very difficult week.
It was my fear with the Lions as well against the Vikings. I thought, if they get a quick touchdown, they might just go, right, my starters have had a few snaps. It doesn't matter if they come back and win it. They've had a few snaps. They got down the field. They scored. Let's bring them all off. The other one that I would be tempted by is the Texans-Colts one. And my advice would be put your money on whichever quarterback you think is better, because that's what it's going to come down to. I think it's going to come down to it's going to be a really, really close game. It's only -1 or +1, whichever way you go. So if you are a big fan of CJ Stroud, bang it in, because I think that's where it's going to be. I think he is the better quarterback of the two, and it's probably where I go with it. But yeah, it'll be a close game. But yeah, I think you can apply some logic to that one.
Yeah, as you say, it's a really close game. If you like CJ Stroud, then yes, Texans -1. If you like the Colts, go for the money line, I would say, personally, as it's only 1 point. But yeah, it's probably. I mean, I'm a Packers fan, but even I would probably come out and say that's probably the best game of the weekend, I reckon.
Yeah, easily. And Bills Dolphins, maybe that could be.
Yeah, maybe. I feel, yes, I suppose Bills Dolphins, actually, when you think about it, should be the one that you'd go for. But the Texans Colts, I think for pure just lots of attacking play, I think the Bills might shut the Dolphins down, whereas I feel like neither of these teams can shut anyone down. So yeah.
That's what I mean. It's going to come down to whichever quarterback plays the best.
Yeah.
Should we get into some touchdown scorers?
Yeah. So I like Rashad White. I really like for the Bucks. He's very short though, at 4 to 6. One guy that I haven't put in my trebles. I try and avoid putting the ones in my trebles now to tell you about. One guy, DJ Moore at 7 to 4. Just because of the price. I think it's a very good price for DJ Moore. So he's appealing at 7 to 4, going up against a Packers defense of anything. In the same game, Reed, if he's fit. So, that's a game time one, but the price has kind of gone a little bit on him. He's 7 to 5 now. I think they've shortened him because he keeps scoring. But yeah, like him. If you want a bigger one, for the Panthers, DJ Chark seems to have suddenly turned up for the Panthers. He didn't do much last week, but he had a very impressive game against the Packers, as most wide receivers do. But Chark looked decent for the Panthers at 9 to 2. He's a big price, and you can score against the Bucks team, as I said before. I like the look of Stephon Diggs this week. He's a very big price at 6 to 4. I think that's probably purely because he's missed. He hasn't scored in a few games, but at 6 to 4, I do like the look of him. The other guys that aren't in my trebles, Jake Ferguson for the Cowboys at 11 to 8. I just think that I think the whole of the Cowboys offense is probably going to score, to be honest. But I think at 11 to 8, I think he's a decent price for Ferguson. And then finally, one that I like the look of is Jackson Smith and Jigba for the Seattle Seahawks against the Cardinals. The Cardinals are pretty easy to score on, and I just feel like he's getting more involved now. I feel like in the last sort of 3 or 4 weeks, there's been a change, and what's been good is it hasn't mattered who the quarterback is. When Drew Lock was there, now Geno Smith's there. I think he's just getting involved more than what he was. I can only assume on the field a lot more, and so that's making a big difference for him. And 2-1, good price for him.
Yeah, the one thing I would say is this week, if there was some games where you thought the starters might come out, like you said, the Lions or maybe the Cowboys, it's worth now looking at the odds, if we've just seen them. Players like Rico Dow, who I think towards the end of the game they're going to start bringing him in, and there could be that opportunity. There's opportunity for him regardless, but if towards the back end of the game they are in front, he's going to be the main running back. I think you can really look at some really key odds in here, people that you wouldn't usually see, and if you get them today as well before they announce the lineups, you've got a good shout. So it's worth having a little venture through some of the games and looking down the list at who might be the fourth string wide receiver or the backup running back this week.
Yeah, as we've said, it's very difficult because of that. You've got to try and sort of work it out. I know that there's a lot of talk, isn't there, with the Ravens, and Melvin Gordon. He's meant to be being used a lot more. He's 5-2, so that's quite a big price for him. So that would be one of them sort of bets that would be worth looking at. But it is a difficult one. I think it's a lot of these, I feel like they need to almost be game time decisions a little bit as to where you want to go. The Rams and 49ers, there's not actually any betting for the player props at the moment, but I know that there's a lot of talk about Elijah Mitchell missing. Jordan Mason, they reckon, is going to see a lot. So whatever price he ends up being, he's one that would be worth having a look to see what price he is. But yeah, I mean, this is the problem because they haven't got the betting out for a lot of these guys yet in these games where you might be getting some sort of like third or fourth stringers. It's tough at the moment.
Adam, we've got one more regular season week to get some trebles. I know our little betting group chat, we have said, obviously, you've had some success this year. Your stakes have been a little bit higher than mine, so you've come off better that way. I've had a lot of success and had a lot of winners, but my stakes have been a lot smaller. Can we get a week 18 winner with the trebles? I think we can. I think we can pull it off.
Well, I'm glad you're optimistic, I must say, but you want my
Shall
first
I go
one?
first then? Shall I go first?
Go for it. You go first. We haven't got Skies. Sky is currently dying at the moment of some disease, but I'm sure we will put it out at some point for everyone.
Yeah, if people really want to get on that one, had no winners so far this year. This could be his week. Like the week that he's not on, he hasn't given them for the show. They all come in and I can't clip it up and show everyone.
In fairness, if ever there was a week that Sky would win, it would be week 18. So
yeah. Well, his mind might be more focused on the football. He's had nothing else to do. Right, my first one is Juwan Johnson, 10-3. I know he got a small injury, but I think he's good to go. He did practice on Thursday, so that's a good sign. And he's managed to score, get in the end zone the last 3 weeks. So I think they definitely think he's a good red zone target, which is an area that they've struggled in quite a bit this season. So he seems to be the now go-to target, which I thought he was going to be all year, but then started off the year doing nothing. So ruined me in fantasy a little bit.
He was injured for quite a bit, wasn't he?
In the middle, yeah. Then I've also, I thought the Lions still, as they've announced they are going to start the starters, I thought they might get something out of it. I think Laporta might play a bit more than everybody else because he's a rookie. And I put Laporta in at 11-8. And then the last one is the Buccaneers game. We said all the stars are going to be out. They're all going to be in. I thought Mike Evans was a nice little odds at 5-4. So that all comes out at 22.15 to 1. Thought the odds on 3 names like that were pretty decent.
Yeah, no, not bad. Mine is slightly higher. I haven't really had much of a reaction to your bet because my first one is Juwan Johnson of the New Orleans Saints. He's had 3 touchdowns in 3 weeks. Yeah, as you said, great red zone target, and I think he'll be out there. My number 2 guy is Mike Evans, Bay Buccaneers. I got him at 11-10, so don't know what's happened there, but anyway, yeah. So Evans for the Bucks, they need to win to stay in the playoffs. And then my third guy, I've gone for DeAndre Hopkins against the Jags. Now the Jags defense has, I feel like it's struggled a bit in the last few weeks. I don't quite know what's going on there. Whether it's an injury thing or whether they're just sort of slowly kind of fading away a little bit. But they have struggled, especially at corner. They're giving up quite a few passing touchdowns, and they're in the sort of like the bottom third of the rankings for passing touchdowns. Hopkins at 7-4, I just think is a good price. I saw there was a stat out that he needs to, is it 49 yards he needs to get for a million or something, or $1 million payout.
For his payout. We had a few of them, didn't we? There's a few.
Yeah. So I think that Hopkins is going to be on the field. I don't think it matters if it's Levis or Tannehill. I think he's the first read. So a bit of a punt, that one, with Hopkins. But yeah, 25.81 to 1. I did it last night. So that one looks like a decent one.
Yeah. I looked at the Titans game because I think the Titans will get points in this game. I think probably betting on them at the plus as well is might be sensible. I just didn't know who it was going to be. I know Hopkins is going to be the obvious choice, but he didn't have much luck at the start of the season when it was Tannehill. So I was a little bit like, who's the next option? And there wasn't really anything. Chigakonkwo maybe, but
yeah, I was going to say if it is Tannehill does seem to go to Okonkwo quite a lot, so that's one that you might want to look out for as well. But yeah, I mean, if it's Levis, then I think Hopkins there's a very good chance.
Yeah, just to confirm, he needs 49 receiving yards for 1 million, and he needs 7 receptions for 250,000. So
yeah, so a lot of the time when these things come up, they tend to keep them out there, don't they, to try and
get the bonus.
Yeah, exactly. So I do think that's it's going to be out there for the whole game.
My late game one is Jaden Reed. I think he's going to play. I don't think he's out. Again, he seems automatic every week. Using him not just in the receiving, but running, jet sweeps, everything like that. So swing pass. So 7-5. I got him at. Then I've gone for Brandon Cooks. It's just whichever player you like, the bigger odds at, really, isn't it, for the Cowboys? I think Brandon Cooks is probably going to stay out there a bit as well. I think he's got a bit more of a point to prove. If you're going to rest anyone, you're bringing CeeDee Lamb out, aren't you? So you might benefit from that. Got him at 7-5 as well. And I think that this player is now relevant now there's been a change at quarterback. And I think Darren Waller is a go-to guy for Tyrod Taylor. And I really like Tyrod Taylor. I think he's a great backup quarterback. I think you get a lot more out of him. And I'm more confident on the ball moving down the field. I think he might be the go-to guy for him at 13-5. So I've got a 19.73 to 1.
Just very quickly before I say mine, does this mean that the DeVito experiment has died now?
Well, I mean, you guys tried to get my.
Whoa! No, not you guys, Freddie.
Well, you did a show, didn't you, where you decided to talk about him? Unfortunately, I couldn't be on that show. I wasn't available the week that you did it, but you put it in the group chat, and I was like, no chance is this guy going to be a starter maybe a backup at best. So no, I was never in on the DeVito for an undersized guy that is not great as being the saviour. So
there you go. Right, so for my late treble, I very, very tempted with Jaden Reed. I have to say at 7-5, but I went Tucker Craft instead.
one or the other, isn't it?
Yeah, so my logic really is that with Tucker Craft, I know tight end, it's all part of the receiving game and all that. I just think that he's going to be out there all the time. Whereas for the others, there's so many receivers now that it seems like they're a bit they're not all going to play all the time. I went with Brandon Cooks as well. I got 6-4 for him. I just think that he's, as you say, I think he's the one who's going to be out there a lot more. I think the big play over the top is something that you can do against Washington, and that I think Cooks will do well. And then finally, I feel like it's a bit of a safe one, really. James Conner against the Seahawks. You can run against this Seahawks defense. And Conner, like last week, the Cardinals had nothing to play for last week. He probably had his best game of the season against the Eagles. Looked really good. I think he's going to carry on doing that this week. 15.8 to 1, so not quite as big, but decent. So they're my two trebles for week 18.
I had James Conner in mind, and I took him out because it was only like 11 to 1. I was like,
yeah,
I need something more than that. And I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to put Darren Waller in. So it seems like we're on the same wavelength for both early and late fixtures, despite the fact we had a lot to pick from. Just had a quick look because I know we've been following his career since he came out of college. Bo Melton is 3-1.
Melton.
Mm-hmm.
Love Bo Melton. Have actually did actually write him down for Packers thing, just didn't mention him. But yeah, Bo Melton at 3-1, always worth a little dabble at the moment. Yeah, he'll do well, hopefully. So there was some report. They did the report for it for the game. Unnamed receiver. I was like, how dare you? How dare you put unnamed receiver for Bo Melton?
Terrible. Well, that's the weekend. As betting odds, I think we've definitely got multiple winners in there. Really looking forward to it. I know a lot of people aren't as invested in week 18, but it's interesting. You get to see some of those backups. You get to see who you might be trading for next season. A lot of people playing for jobs. So really looking forward to it. We'll put everything out onto social media. Best of luck to your teams. Best of luck to the Packers for you, Adam. My team, we've got nothing to play for. So, just beating rivals. And we will be back for a bit of playoff action betting very, very soon. We've got a few, if you're interested, we've got some really, really good draft prospect videos coming out as well. I think the quarterback one is already out on YouTube, Twitter, everywhere else. So keep your eye out for running backs, wide receivers, and the rest of the positions. They will be out very, very soon. But till then, guys, thanks for joining, and keep it with the franchise tag.